Our next guest is a startup in the business of digital payments and has worked very closely with the state governments of Rajasthan, Punjab, as well as Nagaland. This is a startup that has also helped the government in using the Jan Dhan accounts, particularly with respect to the disaster relief. My next guest is the co-founder of Airpay, Kunal, who's now joining us here. Kunal, thank you so much for being a part of Startup Central. 6th anniversary of Jan Dhan, like I was discussing with the NPCI, foundation blocks, the building blocks for a robust financial inclusion architecture. Now, you as an entrepreneur have relied on the Jan Dhan Yojna to grow your startup. Share that with us.
Nayantara, first of all, thank you for having me here. When the Jan Dhan program got initiated 6 years ago, nobody expected it to explode the way it has. It's literally been the building block to enable all sorts of innovations, and that's where fintechs like myself have taken advantage of it. So to give you context, we recently launched a program called Airpay Vyapar, which essentially enabled last mile financial inclusion tools in rural and semi-urban parts of the country. What this enabled essentially was enabling banking services or financial services to the people who never had access to it traditionally, right? Now, the reason for this is not the resistance or the reason that this has not happened is because the consumer or the rural audience is not comfortable using technology, is not comfortable walking into an ATM and, or walking into a bank branch and taking service. Using the Jan Dhan platform, using the rails that Mrs. Rai mentioned, we're able to provide these financial services at their local Kinara store. They walk into the Kinara store and they have a casual conversation and take or consume whatever financial service they want. So it's completely seamless. And that's really where the strength of this service comes from. And that's what we've built out.
What are the opportunities for an entrepreneur like yourself in using the Jan Dhan Yojna? Because the thing is that everybody goes for the niche market, right? Everybody wants to go where the middle to high income groups are. So are there opportunities in rural India with respect to the Jan Dhan Yojna when you've got more than 50% of them being held by women, where you've got more than 60% in rural India, and breaking news coming in today from the NPCI as far as retention, the bank balances go?
Absolutely. So here's the thing, and this is a transition we went through as an organization. When we were founded, we focused on the upper end of the pyramid. But over the years, seeing success of this program, we started focusing on the middle to the bottom end of the pyramid. Today, as an organization, through our partners, we're selling 20 rupee insurance, which gives 50,000 rupees worth of term insurance for a month. It's unprecedented price point. If we didn't have something like this enabled, if we didn't have identity and risk mitigation through the Jan Dhan program, we would never be able to provide this solution. So giving sachet pricing, enabling services at low cost to a much larger audience is where the value proposition is. What the Jan Dhan program has been able to do is allow us to execute this at costs or servicing costs that are completely unheard of. You're talking about low touch, biometric driven decision making, where startups look at scale. This is truly where scale comes from.
Before I let you go, because we're talking on the 6th anniversary of the Jan Dhan Yojna as well, one of the biggest reasons it was started was to prevent subsidy leakages, for the government to directly transfer money into the beneficiary's account. I understand that you work very closely with state governments to do that, and especially during disaster relief, Jan Dhan Yojna has come to the rescue. Do you want to tell us a bit about the experience and how this can be built further?
Absolutely. So one of the biggest advantages is, or or there are two parts to the issue, right? One is getting the funds to the people that directly need it, right? And getting it to them quickly. What the Jan Dhan program has been able to do is transfer funds directly into their bank account, and then through rails provided by NPCI, for example, using APS, we're able to enable at the last mile withdrawal of that money or making payments for services using, again, the same APS rails. That's where the value proposition comes. It's overnight money coming into the accounts of the person who needs it and needs it immediately, and then our agents or our representatives are able to cash out that capital to the consumer instantly. That's where the value proposition is. It's reducing the time, number one, and it's doing it at low cost. That's number two. And making it available locally where they need it. They don't need to walk miles to go to an ATM or to a bank branch. The bank branch is sitting right next door to them.
Okay, so there's opportunities that still exist, and that too at the bottom of the pyramid, which is usually ignored by a lot of fintech startups. Kunal, thank you so much for taking the time out to join us here this Friday evening.